Croeso, hello, welcome to Rob, Ryan, Red, the Wrexham podcast brought to you in association with Red 10 People Development. Well, Nath, it was very Easter themed, wasn't it? Dead on Friday, resurrected by Easter Monday. Wrexham's promotion hopes back in their own hands. Bristol Rovers doesn't matter anymore. We do like to be beside the seaside. On today's episode, we will look back at the last two matches, what it means for the title race, and the daunting prospect of taking on Charlton this weekend. Wrexham could be promoted by the next time we record the show. All that and more on today's episode.
Rob, Ryan, Red.
So, Nath, Bristol Rovers doesn't matter anymore, does it? Blackpool, what a day that was.
Unbelievable. One of the great away days in recent years. Just everything about it. Rob McElhenney being able to be in the away and experience it surrounded by the Wrexham limbs, the biblical limbs, and try and think of a game where we outplayed a team away from home from start to finish. There aren't loads of examples, and there have been some great away days. Peterborough still, for me, is one of the great away days of the season. But this was a performance where I felt we really did respond to. We played with a freedom that we didn't on Friday. We played with a nervousness and a fear on Friday, and I think we played with a fearlessness on Monday. And I think it goes back to exactly what we said, Rich. The hunter, the hunted. And it's very hard when you have a lot to lose, as Wickham found, as we found on Friday. It's very, very difficult. So I hope that the chopping and changing is probably done now, and it is what it is. But again, look at Charlton, the ultimate hunter right now, and they still believe that they can come to the racecourse, do what they did at Wickham, and still go and sneak a second spot. So it's not done yet, but what a giant step forward we took on Monday.
Exactly. There's still a long, long way to go in this title race. It wouldn't be a surprise if those positions changed once again, just because of the nature of it and the fact we have got to play Charlton this weekend. And, Nath, I'm really happy that Parky was proven right as well. He reverted back to the team that he trusts, and it produced, like you said, performance of the season, really. There's not another game I can kind of remember where we did play that complete from start to finish. Genuinely could have scored 4 or 5 on the day. We were brilliant. Shouldn't have conceded either. That was just a bit of sloppiness at the end, a bit of tiredness. Maybe the occasion got to some of the players because they knew they'd won the game at that point. And yeah, we know what the team is. We know what the team is for Saturday now, don't we? I mean, what I want to do before maybe we get into that is I want to shout out 3 players in particular here. James McLean for doing what he does best. I think that was one of his best Wrexham performances. I thought he was tremendous both sides of the pitch.
Well, I mean, before you go give off everyone else, I thought McLean was going to have an absolute nightmare of a day because he missed, a gilt-edged chance that if we'd have not won the game, I think people would have been pointing fingers at, and had that been a certain striker, would have been vilified for. So I'm glad that James McLean was able to get the goal to set us on our way, because I was fuming when he didn't put that first half chance away.
Second one for me is George Dobson. I thought he was tremendous in midfield. Obviously, the pass in the build to the opening goal is excellent, but I thought he just was so good at both ends of the pitch again. I thought he really did help us just dominate that midfield performance. But the odd one for me is man of the match was Dan Scarr.
Wow.
What player?
I mean, I thought you were about to miss the 2 best players on the day for Wrexham, which were, I thought by a country mile, were Dan Scarr and Matty James. Thought they were the best players on the pitch for Wrexham. Bags of experience between them. Dan Scarr's led Plymouth to the Championship. Matty James played in the Premier League. I just thought they showed, you can quite easily find their faults, I think, in what they can't do. Matty James is not going to be a box-to-box supremo. And Dan Scarr is not going to be the ball-playing centre-back that Lewis Brunt next to him can be, or Max Cleworth on the other side can be. But what Dan Scarr and Matty James do really well, they did really well against Blackpool. Dan Scarr made a number of key blocks, key headers. And we've always said he's a bit more of the head it, kick it type. I don't think that is a criticism. I think that is just a style thing for him. And he's very, very good. And he hasn't started a match in a long time. You read it out a few weeks ago that he'd been in every matchday squad, basically. He'd been in more matchday squads than any other Wrexham player. And yet he's had to watch and watch and watch from the sidelines and watch Owen O'Connell be really, really good and watch that defence be really, really good. And there's no case you can't really go and knock on Parky's door when you're on 20 plus clean sheets and go, maybe it's my turn, Gaffer. It's just got to wait and watch. And he finally got his chance. Owen O'Connell, unfortunately, picked up an issue against Bristol Rovers. And Dan Scott, I think it'd be very, very almightily harsh if he wasn't in the starting lineup come Saturday. And he deserves that. And Matty James, I've been as critical as anyone, I think, of the James and Dobson partnership. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he really made things tick over. I thought he made a key number of, again, similar to Scar, key number of interceptions and did go back to front and probably put in, of all the midfielders, I think maybe Dobson and Rathbone had greater highs on the day, but they definitely had more lows, I thought, particularly in the first half, the pair of them. And I think Matty James was just consistently great from start to finish. So, yeah, Matty James and Dan Scar, definitely Dan Scar, but Matty James as well, take a bow. I thought it was a really, really accomplished performance.
I guess it is the quirk of being a erratic football fan as well, isn't it, Nate? For the first hour, Ollie Rafone was doing my head in. And then by the end, I was chatting Ollie at him. I was like, give him a lifetime contract. This guy, he gets it. But the confidence was there then by the end. He was trying, some audacious efforts. He just had that sort of confidence. His head was lifted high again. And I'm just so glad as well, Nath, that we not only put in a really good performance, but we got the result as well, because we've said in recent weeks, look, the performances don't actually matter. As long as we get 3 points, that's it. But in the last 2 matches, we've had poor performances and poor results. And the reward now was, look, we got both. We got, like I said, maybe the most complete Parky performance ever away from home. And then you get the result as well, which is massive in the context of the day as well. Being my greedy guts, though, if we would have just won one of those last 2 games before that, if you'd beaten Bristol or Wigan, I know there's so many ifs or buts and there's so many times in the season, well, yeah, but you shouldn't have beaten this, and this. It is just set up for a tantalising end to the season, isn't it? And yeah, I guess one of the simple questions I want to ask you is, are we going to do it?
What did I say last week? So 2 weeks ago, I was supremely confident. Then I was confident last week. I'm not going to get too giddy, but I am confident. I've been confident for a while that we are just going to have enough, because I think we get it right more times than we get it wrong. We got it wrong twice in a row. I think Wigan was even worse actually than Bristol Rovers. People might disagree with that, but Wigan was as bad as I've seen us play in a long, long time. Bristol Rovers, I felt like we dominated really without threatening. I think you can do that. I had a lot of the ball and didn't do a lot with it. And I got absolutely drenched in the temporary cup. And then you go to Blackpool, where, I was saying in group chats and whatnot that I did think we'd win there. Maybe that was just blind faith than anything else. But this is not the strongest league. And this is not to diminish our achievement if we go on to do it. This is not a really, really strong League One that we thought at the start of the season. And, whatever happens from here on in, I don't want to hear we would have taken this at the start of the season and we would have. It's 2 games to go. It's 180 minutes of football in our hands. And as I said previously, and I'll say it again, Phil Parkinson gets it right a lot more than he gets it wrong. And so with 180 minutes, the team talks do themselves now. You don't need to give James McLean or Stephen Fletcher or Matty James or Dan Scar team talks about what's on the line. We'll know exactly what's on the line because Wycombe will play Leyton Orient in the early kickoff on Saturday. So we'll know the exact scenario of where we are, how many points, the goal difference and whatnot. Ultimately, it comes down to, can you beat Charlton Athletic at home? We should have beat them away. We threw it in the final 30 seconds. We should have beat them away. And yes, they're the form team, one of the form teams in the EFL. They've got to come to the racecourse. And more often than not, we've been on the better side of the results. So I am still confident. I know you're pessimistic until the very, very end, until you see the engraved Wrexham into the Championship next year, or a trophy in the hands or medals around the necks. You're worried and sceptical, but no, I am confident that Blackpool result really gave me that belief that it just feels like it's meant to be for us.
Well, you mentioned the team talks don't do themselves. Rob McElhenney gave one over the weekend that seemed to have geared the players up. I wonder if that'll make Welcome to Wrexham, obviously being released very soon, and hopefully there's a promotion to celebrate at the end of that one. And, I guess from our point of view, we're both there in the away end, and I think we're saying, oh, well, Rob will be sat over there, that's why director's box is, and then seconds before kick-off, he emerges in front of us, and that gave everyone, I think, in the way end an extra lift, didn't it? It was a raucous atmosphere anyway. Obviously, that reduced allocation because of trouble we've had at Blackpool already this season. Wrexham been punished for that. It's only when I watched it back on the highlight show that I realised how small a segment of that stand we kind of got. It's a shame that more Reds weren't there to actually enjoy it, but I know there will be hundreds and thousands of them watching everywhere, across the world. So, yeah, what was it like for you in terms of the actual day itself, Nathan? And particularly, like I said, when Rob arrived at the stadium, it's quite surreal, wasn't it?
I mean, from start to finish, it's quite a miserable day, really, in terms of the weather and everything. But then it just, as it went on, as it wore on, it just got better and better. Great. I mean, we took a while to find a chip shop that was rated high enough that Rich would go inside. I don't know whether everyone else is anti sort of 3.5 out of 5. You've got to be a 4-star.
You can't go to the capital of fish and chips and settle for anything that's below 4-star.
We ended up at a 4.2.
4.2, which
shout out to the
C.
That was very, very good. So that picked me up. And then I think for Rob as well, it very, very rare. I don't know if this is the first time he's ever watched from the away end. I know at Maidenhead he was in the stands, but I mean he wasn't in the away end that night. He was with Ryan in the kind of director's area, I guess, albeit standing. This would have been a very unique experience, one that ultimately celebrities and owners don't get to do very often. I know the Birmingham owner did it when they came to us, came to our place, but it's very rare. The security, I know Rob had, I think, 2 bodyguards with him, but he was mixed in with everyone else. And you saw on his Instagram story the agony and the ecstasy. James McLean and Jay Rodriguez missed those chances, and you're thinking, how are we not ahead? How have we not capitalised on this? And then you see James McLean score, and you see Ollie Rafone score, and they're celebrating right in front of us. That is the dream, isn't it? That you get the celebrations right in front of you. And sometimes you just feel like it is meant to be. And I saw Humphrey on BBC Breakfast talking about the kind of the conversations at the start of the season and the motivation. And the motivation was to go and make history. Back to back's never been done. And internally at the club, they felt like that was very, very doable. And I think they've been proven right. We were maybe thinking that we would consolidate. Some people thought maybe the playoffs. Others said maybe we could sneak second, or definitely internally they were looking at a second spot, thinking we're as good as anyone outside of Birmingham. And, history awaits now. We've had some great days, Boreham Wood, Notts County, Forest Green, days where we've really managed to put the bow on it, put the ribbon on it. And Saturday could be one of those, Rich. It's, again, it'll be another one of those where were you moments if Wrexham can get over the line.
And again, for all the money Rob and Ryan have to actually be in the away end and have those sort of celebrations, that is something money can't buy. And yeah, further proof, I suppose, that Rob and Ryan are killing football, the worst owners in football. Some rival fans would have you think. Yeah, I think we disagree with that one strongly, but there's so many permutations that the fact is we have got to just focus on ourselves. I know that's quite difficult to do, and certainly was difficult on Friday at Wigan, particularly. When the Wycombe goal went in right at the end, that killed the mood a little bit. Then the Bristol game, there's word of Wycombe's result coming through there, and then the reverse, I suppose, as well on Monday, Nath, where for most of the game we knew Wycombe weren't going to be getting anything. Do you mean Charlton raced into an early lead, and that put an extra pressure as well on the players. There was a euphoric roar from the away end when Charlton did go 2-0 up, which I'm sure the players would have been aware of. I'm sure they wouldn't have been checking the scores at half time, but they must have got the feeling. And
someone will be aware of the score, surely. Someone on the bench, someone down the bench, surely.
The difficulty is, whatever the Wycombe score was, Wycombe could have been 8-0 up at half time. We've still got to win our game. It doesn't change the task whatsoever. It counts for absolutely nothing if we hadn't done so. Now we are back in control. We've mentioned before that, maybe it's quite nice to be chased sometimes. Sometimes you want to be the chaser. 2 games left. You'd probably rather have the points on the board. It is as simple as that, Nath. If Wrexham win 2 matches, they are in the Championship. They might only need to win 1, and they will be there. How do you
Yeah,
block
look,
that out, though? Is this the
it,
moment, like you said earlier, that experience shines through? You've got Matty James who's done it
yeah,
before. You've got all these experienced players, and again, like you said, it was interesting that on Monday was the experienced heads who really shone through.
yeah. Matty James said, I think, in the lead up to the Blackpool game or before the Bristol Rovers one, even that he's had promotion battles that have gone to the very final day with Leicester, and he's taken it to the last kick of the game, and so knows exactly that it's not done, it's not over until it's over. And I know what you're saying. Look, Wrexham players will watch that game on Monday in the dressing room, on Saturday in the dressing room. That game will be on. Wickham against Leyton Orient, inevitable. You've seen it before where I've seen teams in documentaries, other documentaries, not Wrexham's, where they watch the game. Maybe Liverpool are watching Chelsea play, or so and so is watching somebody else play. So they'll know exactly how that game pans out, and Wickham might go on and win that, and that means whatever happens against Charlton, Wrexham could not be promoted on Saturday. If Wickham go and beat Leyton Orient, it will go to the final day, no matter what we do on Saturday. And so that changes the mindset potentially. Not in terms of we still need to go out there and win and get a good result, but it might not be that really exhausting, that really sort of emotionally draining day. It's just another game of football. You need to go on and get a result in. And for all the celebrations we were doing, thanking Charlton, it was kind of like, oh yeah, that's great. Charlton have smashed Wickham. We got Charlton next, great. And Charlton's still in with a shout, finishing second. Cool, great, brilliant, okay. But yeah,
Nathan Jones as well said he's got to go to the circus on Saturday. Not sure if you saw that on the EFL highlight show last night.
I did not.
He'll fit in right, won't he?
I can't imagine that Phil Parkinson will be getting too carried away just yet. You saw him, I think it was Matchday Live after, talking about really. I don't think it was a dig in any way. I think it was just a plea almost to say, we need the fans, need that place to be rocking. It cannot be a bag of nerves, because Charlton will punish us and will prey on that,
Yeah.
and will and they will believe that if they can make a fast start, the racecourse will crumble almost under the weight of expectation. I know we've said it for weeks, Rich. The hunter, the hunted. It's better being the one that's able to chase and keep the pressure on. But eventually, in any race, you've only got a couple of furlongs to go, for a horse racing analogy, and you've got to pull away. Eventually, you can't keep chopping and changing, because you don't know how many times you are going to be able to get your nose back in front. So we've done it. We've had a little wobble. We're back in front, and we've got to stay there now. And it'll be people like Matty James, it'll be people like Dan Scarr, it'll be people like James McLean, and people like Stephen Fletcher that will carry Max, Arthur. No, they're not carry them. That's maybe a bit harsh, but do you know what I mean? That they will guide them
through,
over the
Lead by
line,
example.
because this is experience is invaluable at these times of year.
The Wrexham retirement home might have one last party then. And I suppose as well, Nate, just to sort of summarise how tight that title race. Sorry, keep on calling it a title race because Birmingham are irrelevant in this. We could draw and be third on Saturday night, or we could lose and be second. That's how the permutations work. There is so much at stake, and what I guess our expectations for the Charlton game could be altered or impacted by what does happen in that Leyton Orient Wickham game. Worth mentioning, I think Orient came from behind to win on Monday. They've won 4 on the bounce now. They'll be very confident about their last home game of the season, going for the playoffs themselves. Yeah, it's daunting. It's tantalising.
Charlie Kelman on loan from QPR has been in brilliant form for Leyton Orient. I think QPR have got a real gem of a player. Is he top scorer in the league? Yeah, I think maybe.
And I guess the other aspect I wanted to say though, Nath, is because whatever happens Saturday, probably will go down to the final day. That's my sort of inclination on it. It is worth noting how down I was on Friday after that Bristol Rovers game, because myself and James Kelly, we went to the Magnet Club in Wrexham. We had a couple of John Smiths, and I just tried to work out all the permutations. And in my head, I was like, well, that's it. It's done. Make my peace. We're going to be in the playoffs. It's done. It's over. And now in the space of 4 days...
I was sat in the Wetherspoons next to you, and I won't name the person who came in and said this to us, but this fan came in and said, just accept it. It's easier to accept the playoffs, and then you won't be disappointed. And I was saying, I don't want to just accept that. I don't want to. It's not done. It's not over. The season is not done. Wickham, could easily drop points against Charlton. This was before the ball was kicked. Could easily drop points. I said a draw, didn't I? I said that Wickham would beat.
I guess
I said Wickham would beat Bolton. I said Wickham would beat Bolton, as they did. Bolton are rubbish. and Bolton lost again at Lincoln at the weekend. Naff team, said it all season. And then I said that Wickham would draw against Charlton. So I was predicting drop points. And I know there's that inbuilt pessimism of kind of, it's just going to go wrong and I don't want to get disappointed. And even Humphrey tweeted something similar, is that allow yourself to believe. Because if it goes wrong, people will laugh at you and it'll be gut-wrenching. But sport is about ups and downs, highs and lows. You've got to just ride the wave for it. You know, I was bitterly disappointed on Friday and I was drenched, like a drowned rat. And I was thinking, I don't know how confident I am now because we're teetering. We look devoid of ideas. We look fatigued. You know, we are faltering at the wrong time. And then we come back with a performance for the ages, really, one of the performances of the season. And that's why you've got to ride the wave. Because that's it. That is what football is all about. That is what a promotion race is all about. And Wickham got to celebrate at the weekend or on Good Friday, and we get to celebrate on Monday, and hopefully it's us celebrating on Saturday. But don't resign yourself to things that are in the future. Just celebrate and live in the present. Know the ups and the downs.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, I definitely want to do that. I just want to still be in the mindset that if we did finish third, it's an incredible achievement and pick the players up and support them for the playoffs. It's not the end of the world. It's not some disaster like we've missed out or blown it or thrown it away whatsoever. Because like you said, very few of us expected it to be this good at the start of the season. So I want to enjoy it, embrace it.
I get
surreal.
I get
Two
that.
games left.
I get that. But if we were working in a professional capacity and we saw a team that are as experienced as Wrexham are, that had their nose in front with 2 games to go, end up in the playoffs and go out the playoffs. That is. I wouldn't want to hear then. I wouldn't want to hear we would have taken that. We would have accepted that. That's been a great. You blew it. So I think
I think that's too strong. I know what you mean. Black and white.
You've absolutely blew it.
You're saying if Wrexham don't get promoted, we've choked it this season.
Yeah, it's in your hands now with 2 games to go. 180 minutes of football. Phil Parkinson, Matty James, James McLean. Hugely experienced players.
I don't know. I wouldn't say choked it because you're playing against a Charlton team who are the second most informed team. Basically, over the last 30 games, they are. You know, they're on a machine. They're on a winning run.
I think that's how those players would feel if they didn't, and that's why I think we will get over the line because they have so much. You know, this is a. We all thought we'd go through League Two, which said it before. We all thought we'd go through League Two after coming through the National League.
Yeah,
and I don't think we thought we'd go straight out of League One like maybe some at the club did. But the Championship is an enormous step. It feels like League Two to League One was a big step forward, but this feels an enormous one. And then the greatest step of all is the one above that. Getting to the Championship feels like it's so close, and who knows whether you'd get a better chance to have a game at home, which might be all you need to win. You might just need to win one game. You said it. If Wickham don't beat Leyton Orient, if they draw or lose, Wrexham can get promoted on Saturday. The only way that Wrexham cannot be promoted on Saturday in terms of the other results is if Wickham win. And they'll know that in advance. The way people moan at Sky and the TV and everything, but splitting those fixtures up means Wrexham will know exactly what they need to do, exactly what the stakes are. I think I don't even need to manifest, blowing it from here now, because I think, who knows, by 3 p.m. on Saturday, before the ball's even been kicked, we know exactly the stakes and we know exactly where we are. And a point might even be good and whatnot. So much can change. So much has changed. But it can't change again. We've got to see this over the line now.
Hey, Rich and Nath here from Rob Ryan Red, and we've got a new giveaway for you, Nath. A United Airlines wash bag.
Yeah, which you cannot get anymore. They do not make them anymore. £50 Amazon gift card just to sweeten it even more. All you need to do, Rich, is a couple of things.
Okay, what are they?
You need to like the video, enjoy the silence, Hypnotic, you know them by now from the podcast, and you also need to leave a comment. So like, comment on Enjoy the Silence, which will be under this tweet for the giveaway. £50 Amazon gift card.
And you can wash yourself afterwards as well.
And you can probably I need to win it, but I mean I probably won't win it, so you can like, comment, that's all you need to do.
So in terms of the title race then, Nave, I think it is worth, with all this talk, of us to actually sort of talk numbers, talk the variables and how things do stand, I'm going to put some pressure on you. Say in the post edit, maybe you can get the table up so people watching at home can see this visualized as well. Thank you as well if you're listening on Spotify. As always, we do not forget about you. We just need people on YouTube to subscribe, please. So in terms of the title, the promotion race now, obviously Birmingham, 99 points. They are far and away, they're the champions already. They're irrelevant. Second place, Wrexham, 86 points. Obviously the big goal difference swing as well at the weekend, us going 1 up and Wickham losing by 4. That means that it's a 5-goal swing there now. Wickham are third on 84 points. So in terms of goal difference, we probably should have worked this out before we started talking through the segment.
The level, right?
Is it level goal difference?
Level goal difference. So obviously, if they win at the weekend, like I said, we wouldn't have enough of a points gap, even if we did beat Charlton, and the goal difference would swing back in their favour with a win, obviously. So
Wrexham 86 points, Wickham 84, Charlton 82, Stockport on 81 could still get automatically promoted. It might oddly work in our favour if they do go into these final games with something to play for, just because they've got Wickham on the final day. But like I said, it's starting to feel like it could be Wrexham and Charlton who are going to be the deciding teams instead. And of course, Leyton Orient are 6th, level on points for Reading for that final playoff spot. So Leyton Orient against Wickham will be a very hotly anticipated game this weekend as well. And yeah, what it means is Wickham win on Saturday early kickoff. They go a point ahead of Wrexham. Wrexham would have 2 games left to play. If Wickham draw, they would go a point behind Wrexham. So if Wrexham won against Charlton, they would get promoted because they'd have a 4-point advantage over them. If Wickham lose, they would be on 84 points. Wrexham with a draw would go to 87. They'd only need a point on the final day against Lincoln to get promoted as well. If Wrexham were to lose against Charlton, Charlton would go up to 85 points and be behind us as well. Wickham could get, brought back into the picture as well if they were to win. I guess what would be interesting, Nath, from a neutral point of view, is if Charlton won and Wickham drew on the weekend, you'd have 3 teams on 85 points going into the final day of the season. Now that would be... And
Stockport on 84 if they win their game.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not what we need, is it?
That's not what we want. I can imagine that's what Sky Sports are dreaming of.
I'm sure they are. And then look at Lincoln. People will say on the beach and are phoning it in. I mean, they absolutely walloped Bolton 4-2 at the weekend. So that doesn't look like phoning it in and flip flops on the beach type performances to me. So Saturday, you always want to do it at home. You do want to do it anyway. But I just think the way that it's all set up that day, you're going to have, there'll be people in town, probably myself included in the Hill Street, hopefully, watching that Wickham game in the early kickoff and just seeing how that plays out. Because Wickham now, they can swing for the fences like Wrexham did on Monday. It's not in their hands. Wrexham can go and win their last 2 games and it is done.
It might make it easier for Wickham.
This is what I'm saying. I think it made it easier for us on Easter Monday. I feel like we were able to swing for the fences a bit more. And Wickham, you would imagine, have similar. But as you said, Leyton Orient, again, it's a hugely important game for them. Reading have been a great story. Leyton Orient have done really well. Richie Wellens up for Manager of the Year, as is Phil Parkinson, as is Chris Davis, and one other that I can't. Not Dave Challoner. Nathan Jones is the other one that's up for Manager of the Season. But Richie Wellens is Leyton Orient. I know how hard he works, and he will want them to lay down a marker. It's been a tough place to go. Orient's ground, and Wickham have just got to go there, I think, and swing for the fences. That might mean they win, and if they win, like I say, we know we have to get a result against Charlton. It's easier said than done, as Wickham found out. So let's see. I like going into the game knowing exactly where we stand. We know exactly what the permutation are. We know Wickham have got 1 game to go. Charlton couldn't have gained anything on us. We're playing them. We'll know what Stockport will have done, and then it's a case of, right, there you go, lads. They're the set of circumstances. But ultimately, if you win the game, it's all irrelevant anyway because you've just handled your business. So be excited. Be excited about Saturday. Don't be nervous about Saturday. Be excited because we're going to look back in years and years to come at that Boreham Wood game, at that Notts County game, at the Forest Green game. And we're going to think, wow, we were racked with nerves when actually that was the time of our lives. And that was when we weren't getting relegated. That's when we
You're
weren't.
saying we shouldn't have been nervous for Boreham Wood or Notts County?
No, of course you're going to be nervous, but I mean, it's just like you want to allow yourself to feel excited as well in the moment. I know the nerves are a huge part of it, but I'm saying
The
that
nerves are also what make it so sweet, though, aren't they?
I know.
If it was a game where you didn't feel nervous and you won, you wouldn't feel the elation you have.
But just allow yourself to feel excited and happy as well, because I think like they can pass you by so quick. I think with that Boreham Wood game, I was so numb almost with emotion that it was just like it finally done it. And looking back, I just kind of wished I'd have maybe just a little bit embraced it a bit more than I did. But these are great times, Rich. These are as good a times as we've ever known following Wrexham. And when we chat to Mickey Thomas or an Andy Morel or any of these people, it's just the time of our lives. And I hope that Saturday is that latest sort of notch, that latest chapter to be written, because if Wrexham do get over the line on Saturday, no one can ever take that away from you. It probably will never be done again. You never know. But back to back is would be an enormous achievement. And it shouldn't be understated just how much credit everyone involved, past and present, execs, players, fans, everybody, has played in making that happen.
Yeah. If you get back to back, you might have to finally admit that Phil Parkinson's a decent manager. That's that's how massive this is. And I suppose if you do back to back, you might want to do back to back. Nate, looking at the form guide as well, here is your pessimism ahead of the weekend. Wrexham have to play the team who are 3rd and 5th in the form table in their last 2 matches. Charlton, 13 points from their last possible 15. Lincoln have taken 11 from 15. Like you said, it might only need one win to do it. There's probably a way as well to be really out there that Wrexham could lose both their games and get promoted. Because if Wycombe lost both of theirs, and
I tell you what, Rich, I was thinking about, I don't know if I sent you this on WhatsApp, but if we think we're having a sort of a nervy old time in League One, you should honestly look at the table
National
League South, which is
6 teams can get promoted on the last day.
6 teams can win the league on the final day.
There's only one promotion place, isn't there?
One automatic, like the National League. 6 teams. You could be first, which is Truro City, I think, win their game, and still not win the league. You could be first, win, and somehow not win the league, which is just balmy. Torquay, I know, are level on points with Truro at the top and could win it on goal difference on the final day. So I know that nerves are jangling for those 6 teams, given there's only one place we've been there in the National League. We know how tough it is. But Rich, hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, knock on everything, that next week's podcast is a promotion, is a celebration
an emergency
special.
Record on Sunday. Yeah,
and so the season isn't done yet. We've obviously got Lincoln to play, but I thought, given we're no guest on here and we're just chatting away after Blackpool, I guess what have been some of the highs and lows of the season, because we are very, very close to the end of it now. Another season in the books almost, and it feels like it's gone super quick, and yet it feels like the start of the season was so long ago. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think if you look back again to those starting lineups where it was sort of Ollie Palmer and Elliot Lee dragging us through games and games, and it's remarkable how much has changed, even if it felt like it hasn't. And Paul Mullins played 26 times for us in the league this season. Again, that feels like we haven't seen him play for months and months. There was the period where Okonkwo was out the team with his broken wrist. You've had key injuries to Jack Marriott. You've got to remember how good Jack Marriott was for the first month of the season. That Wycombe win where it felt like, we've just beaten a mid-table team. Turns out we've beaten one of the promotion favourites already in what was almost a low-key affair. And there's been lots of lows. There's been defeats that have made you wonder, where are we going? There's been games that have made you rip your hair out, even recently, thinking, God, have we reached our limit now? And we go into it with 2 games left. And you speak about those moments. For me, Wycombe away will stand out just because whatever happens, we went there and we won. Okay, maybe Charlton got 4, but we got the only one that mattered. To do that, given what had happened in the stands as well that day, was really special. The character of the team to get through of that one. Yeah, I mean, Blackpool
Boxing Day
already
was one for me. Boxing Day against Blackpool in the fog. That
well,
game should
even the
never have gone ahead, and Fletcher gets that penalty that is a huge 3 points. I know it was an injustice for Blackpool, but you look back and think of Fletcher's delivered some huge points. I know it's easy for us to fixate, and we do fixate on, we dropped points at Charlton and we dropped points against Wigan and Bristol Rovers. We've gained some unbelievable. We've salvaged 2 extra points on more than one occasion, and Huddersfield, when we were a bit under the cosh, we end up winning there.
even
That
yeah.
Go
Well, I was
ahead.
going to say, Huddersfield, obviously, you've got that Rotherham game at home, which we probably shouldn't have won. Like you said, all those Fletcher goals over the Christmas period, that it just felt like you could check your phone. You're just waiting for the notification to pop through that Fletcher scored a winner, basically. It was that reliable. I also think as well, and this is a credit to Birmingham, this superstar Birmingham team came to the racecourse and we should have won that game. I really didn't think we were capable of that performance. And maybe that is one of the moments where you did believe that, hey, we aren't just this plucky underdog who's underperformed this season. We're a team who rightfully should be in with a shout of second. And, I openly underestimated Wrexham. Start of the season, I had us down to finish 9th or 10th. That was me thinking at my absolute optimum. I could make an argument for 8 teams to be better than us. And I'm so, so, so happy to be proven wrong in that. And, there might be one team who finishes better than us, there might be 2. The fact of the matter is it's in our hands with 2 games to go, and I think the best moment of the season could be Saturday.
Rich, the Opta supercomputer, I think, had a 17th in their preseason prediction, which shows that it's probably the least supercomputer of all time. A lot of people underestimated Wrexham, but yet the revisionism now will be, of course, Wrexham should have gone up. Of course, with the money they've spent, it was obvious everyone thought Wrexham were going to go up. It's a load of nonsense. No one did. It was predicted by a lot of people that Wrexham would struggle, and this would be a wake-up call, and this would be the moment, et cetera, et cetera. And credit to Stockport as well. They've shown that they can come up and really give it a good go. Mansfield have been the one that have found it a bit tougher, I would say. But it's just moments of great moments across the season. I think there's been so many highs that we've been able to celebrate. Away days for the ages. Max scoring at Mansfield. Max has had a fabulous season. Arthur, all the clean sheets we've had, all the the 1-0 to the Wrexham. It's just and yet the best chapter could still be written on Saturday. Like I say, it's not done. It's not done. But we're very, very close now. Bloody hell, we are close. And there was a picture of Rob McElhenney in the away end, sort of doing his Christ the Redeemer, look into the sky, and that is what it's all about. This weekend sort of summed up the highs and lows of football fan. Why we love it so much and we hate it so much is that it takes everything from you and then gives everything back in abundance.
Well, it felt very reminiscent of that National League Easter weekend where we lost at Halifax on the Friday and then we had Notts County on the Monday, and suddenly went from we've blown it, sacked them all, to we're back, baby. We are back. Yeah. And I suppose, Nath, if we're going to end the podcast, you got to talk numbers. The fact is, Charlton are the second most informed team over the last 30 games, over the last 25 games, over the last 20 games, over the last 15 games, and over the last 10 games. Charlton are there. They are, other than Birmingham, the team to beat in League One right now. But they're not second, Wrexham are. Charlton are the 6th best away team in the league this season. Wrexham have the 2nd best home record. 86 points, Nath. 86 could be enough. One win might be enough as well this weekend. There are so many permutations. There are so many ways this one could go. Let's end the podcast with some quick predictions. First of all, the lineup chooses itself, does it? Do you make a case for O'Connell, or is it you've got to give Scar that game?
You've got to be fair, and you've got to go with. I know we conceded late on, but that is the team. You've earned the right to start again. So I'm not changing the team whatsoever, and go with it. Let's play with the same fearlessness against Charlton, because that place can be rocking and will be rocking, I think, under the lights on Saturday night. And let's just make it an occasion for the ages, for us and for the players, that they can give us, they need to do their bit to make it that occasion, and we need to do our bit to make it one of those games to be remembered. A Notts County type, that'll always be the game, the poster game. But yeah, there's no reason why Charlton, the atmosphere that we can create there, can't be similar. So I would say Wrexham to edge it 1-0.
You've heard it here. So
I
no
would say.
changes to the lineup. A Wrexham
No.
win.
What do you think, though? Because I'm
Sounds
always
good to me.
I'm always the
I'd
uber
get-
positive one.
Yeah, I'd get Mullen and Palmer in up front. I'd that was a
What do you
joke,
think?
by the way.
That'll be on Wrexham Insider. That'll be Rich
Yeah,
Face says
Rich Face,
Parky
let's
should rip up
prediction.
team and start new set
Dropped
of
two
strikers.
flops after they failed to throw at Blackpool.
We should say, Rich, before you give your prediction, we should say that we are doing a giveaway on Instagram and on Twitter for a Wrexham wash bag, which I think I have here. If you're on YouTube, you can see a Wrexham wash bag and a £50 Amazon gift card, thanks to Hypnotic. The terms are pretty straightforward. You need to like and comment their YouTube video. Enjoy the silence. Link to that will be in the description. But the giveaway is also publicized on our Instagram and on Twitter. So £50 Amazon gift card and a limited edition wash bag. What's more to like than that?
Yeah, and then you'll be able to enjoy the silence in a minute because we are wrapping this up. Don't worry about that. This weekend, I'm going for Wycombe and Leyton Orient to draw, Wrexham and Charlton to draw as well. I think nothing will change when we go into the last day.
You had me in the first
Needing
half.
a win.
You had me in the first half. You had me there. I was like, no.
So yeah, no changes.
that.
More of the same. Back the boys, make some noise. It's going to be a bumper week. If you see a podcast with Lander on Sunday morning, you know that myself and Nathan will be very hungover, but something very magical will have happened at the Kairos on Saturday. Yeah, thank you very much to Red 10 People Development for their continued support of the podcast. Thank you as well for the steak dinner on Friday. That was the highlight of the day. Thank you very much to Hypnotic. As Nate said, there is a competition. There'll be a description of that in the YouTube description, Spotify description as well. Go over to their YouTube page, enjoy the silence. And comment on that, is it, to be in the chance to win?
Like and comment.
Yeah, if you get one of those Wrexham limited edition wash bags, they are not being produced anymore, so this is maybe your final chance to ever get your hands on them. And inside it will be a £50 Amazon gift voucher as well. What a way to celebrate another Wrexham promotion. Fingers crossed. Take care. Back the boys. Make some noise. We'll see you again next time. All the best.
Wrexham AFC podcast with Nathan Salt and Rich Faye.